Last Saturday night, the Toronto Maple Leafs hit rock bottom in these playoffs. Fell behind 3-1 to the Boston Bruins. This Saturday night, Game 7 in Boston. Win that one, and it could represent a major turning point. With more on the series, let's head to the Toronto Maple Leafs practice facility and bring in Mark Masters. Mark, major mystery at Leafs practice today, and it may have involved Auston Matthews. What did you see and what have you heard about Auston Matthews going into Game 7?
Well, I didn't see much because, when I got here today, they'd roped off the area close to the practice rink, so the media could not get close to peer in to see who was on the ice. Now, they have shades on the windows here that they put down so that the public can't see in, but there's cracks in it. And so people have been able to look in. I'm not going to lie. I have peeked through the cracks of the windows here at the practice facility. I did that a couple of days ago to see that, Auston Matthews was skating. And so I guess the team, doesn't want that to keep happening. The secrecy is paramount in the playoffs. And so there was a rope off and security was around and they weren't letting anyone get anywhere close, even to the windows that had the shades down on. So we couldn't even peek through the cracks today. But Sheldon Keefe says Auston Matthews skated. He says Auston Matthews is making progress. And he says no determination has been made yet on Auston Matthews' status for Game 7. But I tell you, it's the playoffs and the secrecy is just ramping up, Gino.
So could we read anything into the fact that he's used the word progress for the first time in talking about Matthews' recovery? Or could there be some underhandedness involved there?
Yeah, I don't know. It would make sense that he's making progress. Now he's been on the ice 4 days in a row because you would expect him to get better. But we don't know the nature of the injury. We know that the team has misled us with some of these updates. The first day of the first playoff practice, they had mentioned that William Nylander and Bobby McMann were possibilities playing Game 1 against Boston. Well, McMann hasn't played in the series yet, and I don't think he was a possibility to play Game 1 at that point. So you'd like to think that they're being upfront, but you just, at this time of year, you can't really read in anything, I think. I'm waiting for Chris Johnston, Darren Dreger, Pierre LeBrun. That's who I read into when I see updates on any injured guys right now. But I guess it's more positive today that you're saying that he would say there's progress versus a setback or he wasn't on the ice. So I don't read too much into what the teams are saying at this time of year, Gino. You just try and see what you can see with your eyes and you listen to the insiders.
I can't argue with that, Mark. Good idea. Good strategy. All right, so here's what we do know. This Toronto Maple Leafs team plays vastly different hockey when Auston Matthews is not in the lineup. 3 games this year, they played without Auston Matthews. The first one was a shutout against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the last 2 were the 2 wins against the Boston Bruins, where they only gave up 1 goal in each of those games. They play so much better defense when Auston Matthews is not in the lineup. What can they learn from that? That if and when he does return, they just add an offense to a team that's playing significantly better defense. I mean, I would imagine the sky's the limit if they could put those 2 things together, Mark.
That's the dream, Gino. That's the dream. They have a great record, actually, without Auston Matthews over the years. I think part of that is human nature. That's what Sheldon Keefe said before yesterday's game, is that everyone knows that they have to do a little bit more, but also has to be all that more careful on the defensive side, because you don't, like Auston Matthews, the way he's been playing is like a goal a game this season. It's crazy what he was doing, but with him out of the lineup, everyone's got to step up. Everyone's, I think, awareness is heightened a bit. And they've found a way to respond in these scenarios this season where star players, top guys, whether it's Morgan Riley's suspension, Mitch Marner missing 12 games with a high ankle sprain, Game 2 they won in Boston with William Nylander not playing. They've found ways to step up. Maybe it takes a little bit of the pressure off too, Gino. Like everyone's looking at, Toronto down 3-1 in the series, and now all of a sudden Auston Matthews is out. I'm not sure a lot of people are expecting them to win the next 2 games and force a Game 7. So I think that, listen, you want to try and thread that needle, remain as, steadfast in your defending and intense in your defending, but adding that offensive element. But it's a balance. And now, as Sheldon Keefe pointed out today, they'll be facing an opponent that for the first time is as desperate as they are. All the Leafs have done is dig themselves out of a hole that they created for themselves, is how the coach framed it today. So this is the real moment for them, and let's see if they can keep it going under the spotlight of a Game 7 because we know in this era they have not won one of those winner-take-all games.
And listen, we can't understate the fact that the Jim Montgomery is facing a ton of pressure right now with the Boston Bruins. After the Game 5 loss, he openly said he was pissed. After Game 6, he was angry, and specifically at his star players. He didn't really want to come down hard on Brad Marchand, but he did come down hard on David Pastrnak, saying Pasta needs to step it up. Are you the least bit surprised that he's feeling the pressure now and that he's so openly going after Pastrnak publicly like that?
I'm not surprised that Jim Montgomery is feeling the pressure. I mean, it's never happened in the major North American sports for a team to blow a 3-1 series lead in consecutive playoff years. And I mean, like, I can't imagine the pressure on Jim Montgomery right now. Listen, there's pressure here too, right? Like, of course, we know the well-documented history of the Maple Leafs, but the Boston Bruins, just, having been in Boston Game 5, being around them in the lead up to Game 6, like, it's heavy. It's tight. It's tense. You don't want to be known as a team that collapses in the playoffs. And it was bad enough that it happened last year when they were the President's Trophy winners and had one of the great regular seasons ever. But now to have gone up 3-1 against a team that they've kind of had the Leafs number, as we know over the years, I mean, you can feel it. So I know talking to the Boston folks, it's rare for Montgomery to call out his top players like that. In fact, he's been defending Pastrnak. Even the morning of Game 6, he was asked a couple of questions about Pastrnak, and he defended him and said it's underrated how well he plays defensively and how he does the little things that you need to do to win. But, of course, after the game, you reach a certain point where you need your big guys to come through in the biggest games. And Pastrnak, he is who he is because he produces offensively. And the Leafs have done a very good job against him in this series. They're very proud of it. It's come up a couple of times, even earlier in their series when they were trailing in the series. They were very happy with how they were playing Pastrnak. They've been hitting him. They've been making him pay a price. They really haven't given him anything for free. There was the exception of the face-off goal in Game 2, and then the late period goal in Toronto, where he got the 2-on-0 with Marchand and just put it home. But they haven't given him anything for free, and Pastrnak looks like a guy who's feeling it, struggling to get shots on net, struggling to create offense. So I'm not surprised the pressure is there, and I'll be really zeroing in on number 88. Remember, Nylander's his good buddy. Like, they became close friends in Sweden when they were Swedish Hockey League teammates. They both wear 88, and now let's see if Pastrnak can respond after Nylander stole the show in Game 6.
So, Game 6, the Leafs snap a horrible losing streak at home on home ice, 6 consecutive losses on home ice during the playoffs. Now they go into Boston, where the Boston Bruins are 0-6 in the last 6 opportunities to clinch a playoff series. The TD Garden can be a hostile environment for both the visitors and the home team as well. What do you think happens in that building if the Leafs slow the Bruins down the way they did last time they were in the building, or if they take an early lead against the Bruins in Game 7?
The first goal is always so important. I mean, it's such a cliche, but the way the tension is, the way the pressure is in this series, I mean, Boston, I don't know if a goal is going to go in, but Boston needs a better start. It's been crazy the last 2 games how the shot clock has been so one-sided in favor of the Leafs in these series now, in these last 2 games. Now, the attempts actually were closer to even, and the high danger chances were even in the first period, but, last night at least. But Boston's come out a little flat in these last 2 games. It's been strange. And Toronto, give them credit. They've been ready to start on time. They've been ready to go. Their season's been on the line. Boston needs a good start. They need to get that building going. When they get that building going, it is intimidating. Players have said that. Players in the past on the Leafs have talked about how once the momentum starts going against you at TD Garden, it's a factor rather than some other buildings. So the start of the game, crucial, especially, Boston, with the way it's gone the last couple of games, they got to find a way. They got to find a way to start better in Game 7. Otherwise, this series is already, it feels like, slipping away from them.
Yeah, this is the 3rd time since 2013 the Toronto Maple Leafs trailed the Boston Bruins 3-1 in a playoff series. Came all the way back to force a Game 7. The previous 2 times in 2013 and 2018, the Leafs lost Game 7. We'll see if they can close the deal this Saturday night in Boston. Mark Masters from the Toronto Maple Leafs practice facility. Thanks, Mark.